Howdy. Well, what you're looking at here is a collection of pistols. That's pretty obvious, right? Well, revolvers. Recently, 11bangbang did a show. It was Garrett describing the plans he has for his channel, or their channel, and he's going to do some continuations on his work on the Colt revolvers and Colt stuff. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. We had a nice discussion in the comment section about what he's been up to. And here, let me get this down here where it's a little more rational. Okay, let me go over like this. And over like, I hate this camera crap. Anyway, let me describe this. Only 3 of these are actual Colts. These 2 and this one. These 2 are 1892 New Army and Navy. Though all they're called on the barrel is Colt Double Action. This one belonged to my great-grandfather, and I have the factory letter on it, and I know where it was purchased and all kinds of stuff on it. This one I bought at a gun auction, and I mistakenly thought it was a Lightning. I didn't know at the time. But I got it relatively cheap, so it was worth it. The left-hand grip on it was missing, and whoever had it back in 1913, it says it has to be 1913, because what he did was he used this penny for an escutcheon on the new grip. This grip on this side is made out of leather. It's 2 pieces of leather sandwiched together. And that escutcheon is a 1913 wheat penny. So that must be when he, either that or he reached in his pocket in the early 1920s and pulled it out when he was working on this thing. This one's in better shape. Well, at least the grip is, but as you can see, the finish is in pretty rotten shape. This one here is called a Colt New Line, and it's right after the Roland White patent expired, and this was their first attempt to horn in on the Smith & Wesson market, as it were. It's in 22 rimfire. That is 22 short, what we call today. That was designed for 22 short black powder, so I would not shoot a modern 22 in it. Even a 22, even the CCI CB caps would probably be a little overpowered for it. The rest of these are all facsimiles. What you're looking at here, first of all, is this is an Army San Marcos 3220 1873 single action Army, and it's a beautiful gun and it shoots well, but it's just a facsimile. These are both, let's see, these are both Ubertis. This is an 1862 Pocket Police, and this is what was called a Wells Fargo in 31. Now, besides those, let me take this back up again a little bit, and then I'm going to bring you over here. I also have, this is an 1847 Colt Walker. This is a Colt Dragoon, and this is an 1860 Army. And of them, let's see, this one's Uberti, this one's Uberti, and this one's Army San Marcos. And I have one other Army San Marcos. Let me put these away so I can get to it. Ooh, you sit right there. And that's this. This is a cased Army San Marcos Colt 1851. And as you can see, it's exactly like it would have come from the factory in 1851. Now, it's an interesting piece. I really enjoy it. It's a brass one, unfortunately, but it's a really cool pistol, in my opinion. Anyway, on top of that, we were discussing, mainly in our chats, we were discussing books about Colt. And Garrett said he was doing his damnedest to avoid mentioning one particular fellow. Well, before we get to that fellow, I wanted to, oops, excuse me. Before we get to that fellow, I wanted to talk about this book. Now, he has a copy of this, but his copy is not like this. This is a really fine-looking copy. This is made in India. This is called, come on now, it's called Armsmere, the Home, the Arms, and the Armory of Samuel Colt. And this is a facsimile of the first edition, and includes plates of Colt and other things from around the, there's a map of it. I mean, it's just full of plates and beautiful pictures of artifacts he had. You see, Colt, besides being the guy who invented the revolver, and yes, he was the guy who really invented the revolver. Yes, there were ones ahead of him, but he was the innovator who came up with the things like the hand. But before that, he needed the money to keep his original Patterson factory going. So he was using every kind of scam in the world. He was called Dr. Colt of Calcutta, as he toured the West with nitrous oxide and put on laughing gas demonstrations at county fairs and places like that, just for money. And then he would ship it back to Patterson, New Jersey, so the gunsmith he had there could make a few more guns. He was constantly running out of money, and basically he went bankrupt until, you know, the Walker and Jack Coffee Hayes and the Texas Rangers and the rest is history. Well, thing is, we all love Colt, and there's another man who liked Colt, but unfortunately was an absolute shyster, a scallywag, a drifter, a grifter, a ne'er-do-well, and his name was R.L. Wilson. Now, this is a beautiful book, absolutely beautiful. The pictures are wonderful. The text, ignore it. Ignore anything this man says on any book you have. Unfortunately, he wrote a lot of books. Here's a biography of Bill Ruger. He wrote it. Also full of very beautiful pictures. But it's not, his text, it ain't worth it. It just ain't worth it. Garrett said that the copy of this that he has, the foreword, was written by R.L. Wilson. I find this book fascinating. It's written in very stilted 19th century style, but it has some good information about Colt's, the Colt family, and what he had in Armsmere. Armsmere was his palatial mansion that he had built, and he had his wife in. I don't know if it was finished when he died. He died in, I think, 1862. As a young man, really. But, I mean, he lived a very checkered life, a very checkered life. But we got some damn good guns out of the deal, you know. And to this day, the Colt factory is still in business. It's been through many iterations and stuff. But, you know, it's still there. It's sad. You know, it's sad that Wilson did what he did. For more information, if you're curious, go look at both Forgotten Weapons and Ian McCollum's and Othnius's Sea and Arsenal, and Ian McCollum on Forgotten Weapons. I think there was a podcast in which they were both chatting, and there's a sit-down thing on Forgotten Weapons where Ian was talking about R.L. Wilson and all of the shenanigans he pulled. He basically looted the Colt collection of priceless historical artifacts to make money. And it's a sordid tale. It's a very sordid tale. The only reason he didn't go to jail is he died by the time they figured it out. Reminds me of the tale of the Piltdown Man. If you're interested, look it up. But anyway, just a discussion of one of the more terrible aspects of Colt research. And one of the problems is that since Wilson poisoned the well, any research into Colt has to take place in documents written before Wilson added his 2 cents to it, because by his own admission and by his own actions, he invalidated all of the data that people are quoting. And many people quote that data to this day, and it just is not worth quoting. It's crap. It's pure bunk. It's not worth quoting. It's not worth much. He died in relative luxury, with his reputation as a tweed jacket wearing intellectual in place until he died. And then we found out what a crook he was. Anyway, that's the tale of Colt. And Garrett, I like this book. I think it's a cool book. But this is not the Wilson edition. This one is from India, and it's a facsimile of the original.